Okay, our first order of business of the evening is another Mazel Tov. We wish a Mazel Tov to Chaver Adaf Gedalia Engel, whose daughter Brindy, who we all davened for to find a shidduch, has had her first daughter, and we wish a Mazel Tov to her husband Yaakov and Brindy, that they should be Zeichel Gadol Ben Torah L'Chupel L'Maisim Tovim. Mazel Tov to Gedalia and his wife, and they should Mirz Hashem dance by the Chasana. We are co-sponsored by the Rezepkowitz family in honor of their parents, co-sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Eddie Chazan. The Shalaim of Shashana Bas Penina Simon Bas Rachel, co-sponsored by Binyamin Rivlin, Lila Nishmas Yitzchak Ben Avraham Yehuda Levi, co-sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin for his children, Ora, Eli, and Orit, and by Berich Goasa from Ira Fu Shalema, Moshe Meir ben Esther Fadl, and Dov Meir ben Chai Gittel, and our Korsa Tov to the Shir, and by Shalom Fogel, Lila Nishmas Yaakov Zeb ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Sibya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef ben Sion ben Yaakov Zev. I got a lot of virtual requests today. Mr. Baum, who watches the shir online, asks us to learn for his father's yahrzeit, David ben Eliezer. His neshama should have a lichtige Gan Eden. Also, one of our Zoomers, Daniel, for his father, Avram Yehuda ben Mordechai. Irving asked us to please learn for Shmaya Avram ben Edel. Berish Gesseman's son is having a procedure tomorrow. Yonis and Ari ben Miriam should have a refuah shalema. Everything should go well.
I wanted to add that I'm grateful that Hashem allows me to be at the Daf Yomi. I was hit by a car yesterday.
Oh wow!
It grazed me, so nothing happened. But another footstep would have made a difference.
But the car impacted on you?
Yeah. He made a turn and he grazed across my arm.
Okay, so then you should bench Gomel on Shabbos.
Okay, I wasn't sure because
you should. Rav Moshe said if there's contact, you bench Gomel, so you should bench Gomel on Shabbos.
Okay.
And we're very happy that you're here, Baruch Hashem. Very, very happy that you're here. So anyway, we welcome in Saba and Dr. Udell, Irving Fishbaum, Yaakov Warman, Baruch Ian, and Eddie Chazan, Dov Salkowitz, A.B. Spry, in his new home here in Fairways. Mark Frankel, who is on a streak now. Mark, I notice, on a streak. I didn't say you're streaking. I said you're on a streak. I leave the streaking to Barry. Shalom Fogel, Shimon Klein, Ruvain Pollack, Dr. Black, Dr. Guy, Marshall Castle, Mo Kushner, Reb Kaniel, Yitzhak Fuchs, Michael, and Itchy, and Avigdor Fried, who we are ecstatic. Look at this. Avigdor Fried comes on, and we already have 35 Zoomers. Marshall, Avigdor Fried comes on a few days, and you'll get your bourbon. Yitzi Muller.
I'll share it with you gladly.
Yitzi Muller, Shimon Deer, Shelley Zeitlin, Nachman Chapler, Barry Cement, Daniel Rosenberg, Daniel. We did learn for Avram Yehuda ben Mordechai. His neshama should have an aliyah. Rabbi Kranz, Moshe Lehman, Elia Shutman, Avram Rezepkowitz, Abe Arbach, Chaim Lerner. Here in the shul, we have Berish Gesseman, we have Gedalia Engel, we have Michal Avram. Menachem Umansky is joining us here tonight, but they would have been our 36 Zoomer. And Ruvain Shanit, Reb Halpert, and Avram Schenkman. So we are well attended. David Helf got on Kol HaLashon. And boy, that took a long time. You know, it's interesting that the daf number here is Noyach, Nun Ches, which usually means easy. But this daf ain't anything but easy. What do you think Avigdor Fried comes on for? Avigdor Fried comes on because, you know, he wants to hear the hard Gemaras, you know, where's the beef, right? Dal, you already learned it this morning? So you have a headache? The first part, right, that's right. The Gedalia says the first part, the second part I was already sleeping. No. Okay. Says the Gemara, 2 lines from the bottom of Nun Zayin Amud Beis. V'savar Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir holds kol erva shebezdin shel Yisrael memisin aleh. Any erva that the bezdin of Yisrael puts to death, ben noyach muzar aleha, or ben noyach is commanded not to do. Vatanya, we learned, ger, a convert, was conceived before they converted. So that means that successfully cuts him off from the she'er of his father, because he was conceived before they were Megaya. Born, however, he was born after the mother converted. So there is she'er ha'aim. There is a relationship to the mother. Yesh lo she'er ha'aim. There is connection to the maternal. Ve'ein lo she'er ha'av. There isn't connection to the father. Ha'ketzat. Noza achoisei min ha'aim. If he married his maternal sister. Now, here it's talking about, it's an interesting thing, that even if he marries her, this is a sister that was born before the mother converted. And then the sister converted together with the mother. So in reality, the sister is not related to him either, because Gershon is Gayer Kekot and Shenoila Dami, right? Now, we're going to see that according to Noahide laws, one is not allowed to marry his maternal sister. Now, however, he really should be able to marry her, or if he was married to her, he should be able to stay married to her, because they're like newborn babes. But there's a svara to say, number one, we don't want there to be a confusion. Number two, we don't want to say that he's going from a kedusha chamura to a kedusha kala. That beforehand it was forbidden and now it's permitted. So therefore, Nasa Chaysim in Aim, if he was married to his maternal sister, now Yotzi, he has to leave her. Mina of, if he was married to his paternal sister, Yekayim, because a Ben Noyach is not forbidden to sleep with a paternal sister. Achaysa of min ha'aim, if it was his father's sister, but it was his father's maternal sister, then Yotzi, he has to leave her now. Mina of, if it was his father's paternal sister, Yekayim. Achaysa aim min ha'aim, if it was his mother's sister maternally, Yotzi. Achasa aim min ha'av, if it was his mother's paternal sister. So now, here, even though we said that a Ben Noach has no prohibition from a paternal relationship, but Rameir says still Yotzi. Rameir says still you have to leave, because since there's so much of the mother's side, it's a sister of the mother, we might confuse it with a maternal relationship. But the Chacham say that since it's paternal and there's no paternal relationship with a ben noyach in such a case, then you could keep it. Shayur meir aimer kol erva shehi mishum she'er aim, any erva which is of a maternal relationship, yaitze mishum she'er of yekayim. Now, umutter be'eshes achiv, he could marry his brother's wife. If he converted and his brother converted, he could marry his brother's wife after his brother dies, because the two of them are not related anymore. Gershon is guy could cut and shenoiladami, and ube'eshes achiyav, if he could marry the wife of his father's brother. Usha'or kol arayis mutereslay, and all other such arayis where we will dissolve the relationship because of Gershon is guy or katan shenoiladami is mutter. So how could you say, ask the Gemara, that kol erva shebeskin Yisrael memisin aleha ben noyach muzer aleha? Says the Gemara, and now the Gemara says, what is it when it says ushar kol arayis muteris? What is that coming? It comes to include even la'asuyei eshes avim, even his father's wife. In other words, his stepmother after his father died, since there's no relationship between him and his father, so therefore he's allowed to marry the stepmother. Nasa isha ubita. Let's say he married a mother and her daughter, and then they converted. So in such a case, kainis achas umaitzi achas. He could stay with one, and of course make a proper kedushin, and divorce the other one. Now, in all these cases where we said earlier that you could marry if it's just she'er of, ulechatchila lo yichnos, but that's only if it was done. Lechatchila you shouldn't marry. Mesa ishtai, if his wife died, now again, his wife converted, so if his wife died, muta b'chamaisa, he could marry her mother, he could marry his mother-in-law. V'ikid amrei, some say, asa b'chamaisa, he's not allowed to marry his mother-in-law. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda loy kasha, there's no difficulty. Ha Rameir alibad Rabbi Eliezer, one is Rameir according to Rabbi Eliezer, or Rameir alibad Rabbi Akiva. What's this machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva? So now the Gemara explains. And if your head is spinning a little bit, that's okay. That's okay. You probably drank some of Marshall's bourbon. The Tanya. We learned in the Brisa, and now we're going to dash in this famous pasuk in a way that, usually we don't look at this pasuk. Usually we look at this pasuk as a good Sheva Brachas pasuk. But the Gemara really dissects this pasuk. The Tanya, al kain yazav ish es aviv es imay, a person should forsake his father and mother. V'davak be'ishtay, cleave to his wife. V'hayu lebasar echad, and they become one flesh. And remember how Rashi in Chumash translates v'hayu lebasar echad. The pashtus v'hayu lebasar echad means through the mitzvah of bia, right? And they become as one. But Rashi learns v'hayu lebasar echad means when they have a child, because in that child is a mingling of their two fleshes, right? So that's how they become a basar echad. Now let's see what we do with this pasuk. Al kain yazav ish es aviv, a man has to stay away from his father. Rabbi Elazar Aimer aviv achos aviv, the sister of his father. Of course, the sister of his father from the maternal side. Imai is achos imai. Now, if the sister is forbidden of the father, then surely he's forbidden to his own sister. Rabbi Kiva says, Aviv is Ashes Aviv, refers to his father's wife. Imai is Imai Mamish, is his own mother, even though, of course, we're going to see that it includes his own mother and even if it's out of wedlock, even if it's imay me'anu sasai, even if his mother was raped. So, but now let's see what do we do with this what do we do with this machlokes between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer? You see, a sister and a sister of a father and a sister of a mother is not a capital crime for the Jewish court. There's only chorus, only, relatively. Right? So according to Rebbe Eliezer, there's still going to be a prohibition for a ben noach, and of course all prohibitions of a ben noach bring with it execution, even though in the Beis Din Shel Yisrael there's no misa. Rabbi Kiva says no. Rabbi Kiva says only the wife of a father, stepmother, which is a capital crime for Jews, and an actual mother. So, again, according to Rebbe Eliezer, there would be misa by a ben noach for incest, and according to Rabbi Akiva, there would not be. V'davak be'ishtai should cleave to his wife, but not to homosexuality. V'davak v'loi bezacher, not homosexuality. Be'ishtai with his wife, v'loi be'ishes chaveira, so that's adultery. V'hayu l'basar echad, he's only allowed to be in a union where the flesh will mingle with a child. And that can't be with an animal, so bestiality is forbidden. Mishanasa basar echad, yatsu behema v'chaya, this excludes the allowance to be with an animal and a beast, she'enas in basar echad, which cannot become one flesh. Although the Gemara does not say oif, but the Rishonim add that there's bestiality with a bird as well. I know that was what Marshall was going to ask me. What's the matter, Marshall? That's called the bird brain.
I'm speechless.
Now, Amar. Now, when you have a difficult teaching like this, it's very nice to hear an Amar. Amar is like a gufa. We're going to go over some details over here, because Menachem says I could use some going over of details here. Right? You're right. I mean, this is the daf that Avigdor picks. I'm telling you, Avigdor, you want to see if I still could, explain the Gemara. I see what you mean. Amar, Rebbe Eliezer Aimer, Aviv is Achos Aviv. So the Gemara says, how does Rebbe Eliezer know that Aviv is Achos Aviv? Maybe when it says Aviv, it means that Al Ken Yazav Aviv, that he shouldn't have a homosexual relationship with his father. Eima Aviv Mamish, says the Gemara, no, homosexuality we learned out from V'davak. Hainu V'davak v'loi bezacher, right? It says V'davak, cleave to your wife and not to a male. Eima Eishes Aviv, but maybe it's like Rabbi Akiva suggests, it means his father's wife, which is a death sentence, right? Not Akai Sava, which is only an Issachar by Yidden. No, Hainu Be'ishtai, that's his wife, V'loi Be'ishes Chaveira. Says the Gemara, but maybe it means Eishes Aviv after his father dies. Eimalach HaMisa. Says the Gemara, no, it can't be, because it says Al Ken Yazav Ish Es Aviv Es Imai. Dumya de Imai. Ma Imai the Lav Ishes. Just like a mother is not a relationship from marriage, right? Imai is not a relationship from marriage. So also, Af Aviv the Lav Ishus, it's not a relationship of marriage. So just like Imai is the sister of the mother, So here also, Aviv is not a case of marriage, but the sister of the father. Says the Gemara, Imai is Achai Simai. So the Gemara says, well, how do you know Imai is Achai Simai? Maybe Imai is coming to tell me that he shouldn't sleep with his mother. Imai Mamish. Well, no, his mother is married. But maybe it means his mother after his mother died. After his father died, where it's not adultery. Ve'ema la'achamisa. Says the Gemara, Dumya de Aviv. When it says Imai, it's similar to Aviv. Now, Aviv, we already said, doesn't mean his actual father, because it's not homosexuality, because that we already learned out from V'davak. So Imai is also not his actual mother. Ma Aviv de lav mamish, af Imai de lav mamish. Okay, very good. Rabbi Kiva explains the pasuk differently. Rabbi Kiva Aimer, Aviv is Eishes Aviv, is his father's wife. The aim Aviv Mamish, so that we had an answer for it. It's not homosexuality. Homosexuality we learn out from V'davak. V'davak be'ishtay, and not with a man. Hainu V'davak, v'lei b'zacher. We could also learn that out, by the way, from Vahiyu l'basar echad, because two men will not have a child. Ihachi, says the Gemara, if so, then Eishes Aviv Nami, you're telling me that it's Eishes Aviv, but if it's his father's wife, that we know from the pasuk of adultery, V'davak be'ishtay, and not somebody else's wife. Hainu be'ishtay v'lei be'eshes chaveirah. So the Gemara says, no, it's telling us that he's forbidden to his stepmother even after the death of his father. Le'eleinu la'achamisa. Imai is Imai Mamish. According to Rabbi Kiva, it means that he can't be with his mother. Says the Gemara, what do you mean with his mother? His mother is his mother is it's adultery. Hainu be'ishtay v'lei be'eshes chaveirah. That's prohibited with adultery. Now, the Gemara over here could have answered Achamisa, but even after Misa, then Imai would be forbidden as Eishes Aviv. So what's it teaching us? The answer is Imai mi'anu sasa. Even if she's a mother out of wedlock, no, it was a rape. Even so, he's forbidden to such a mother.
All these are for Ben Noach, correct?
This is all for Ben Noach. So
There is to Lavin if he's with his father for Ben Yisrael, I mentioned. So there is a second reason.
That's again that's for what? Tell me for what that's for.
Well, one is his father.
No, but what? Why do we need to Lavan?
To give him to work Kim Lake with the Rabbin.
No, for two chatois.
Oh, two chatas, okay.
Which a guy doesn't have.
Right, okay.
Now, b'may kamifligi. What are they arguing about over here? What's the untershura, as Barry would say? Barry's been awful quiet over here. The Gemara says, b'may kamifligi. Rebbe Eliezer holds, Aviv dumya de imai. Since it says al ken yazav ishes aviv es imai, so aviv dumya de imai ve'ima dumya de aviv. You need to have that the case of aviv is similar to the mother. So aviv can't be eshes aviv and imai is imai mamish, because then they're not the same. And it can't be that aviv is achais aviv and imai is eshes aviv, because then they're both not talking about ishus. So rather, aviv dimyo de imay, v'imay dumyo de aviv, and therefore both of them must be talking about sisters, like mishkachasa ela ba'achva, with sibling relationships. So one is achais aviv, the sister of the father, and one is achais imay, which means, it's a big kiddush according to Rebbe Eliezer, that there is misa for incestuous relationships by a guy, which we don't find by Yidden, because by Yidden it's an Issachar. Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Kiva says, Mutav le'ukmei be'eshes aviv. It makes more sense to say it's talking about the father's wife. The ikre ervas aviv. La'afuke achais aviv, the sister of the father. That's not the nakedness of the father. That's the relation of the father. No, it's Ashes Aviv that's Ervas Aviv, because he sees the Erva of his wife. Therefore, Rabbi Kiva says, etymologically, it makes more sense, L'ukma be'Ashes Aviv, the Ikre Ervas Aviv, La'afuke Achais Aviv, that wouldn't be called Ervas Aviv, it would be She'era Aviv Ikra, that would be a kinship with the father. Ervas Aviv Lo Yikre, that wouldn't be called the nakedness of the father. That's a very interesting diak. Tajma. And just to remind you, this has not been an easy ride so far. It's getting easier. But I want to point out that right after the shir, we have I did the Mishnah Yomis and Shavuos already, the first two Mishnayos and Shavuos, because we have the 25-minute segment for the Shabbos table. So stay tuned for that right after the shir. Tajma, Vayikach Amram es Yocheved Doidosai. Amram married Yocheved, his aunt. My love, doesn't this mean Doidosai min ha'ain? His aunt, which is his maternal aunt. So you see that you are allowed to marry a maternal aunt, which would be a kasha on what we said from Rebbe Eliezer. Says the Gemara, it's talking about a paternal aunt and not a maternal aunt. Tajma, Avram told Elimelech, V'gam omna, in truth, achoisi bas avihi, she's the sister, the daughter of my father, ach loy bas imihi, but not the daughter of my mother. So this is a kasha on Rameir. Michlal the basa aim asura, that a sister from the mother would be forbidden, which is a kasha on Rebbe Eliezer. Says the Gemara, wait, was Sarah Avram's sister? Sarah was Avram's niece. Sarah was the daughter of Haran. That's right. Haran was, has a big portion in Klal Yisrael. Bottom line is that, Haran did step into the Kivshin H, and he did die al Kiddush Hashem. Okay, so he was Pesach al Shtei Sifim, and he said, I'll see which one wins out. But even so, he went in and he gave his life and he made a Kiddush Hashem. And the Chassam Sofer says that's why so many of our imais come from Haran. Haran still had a lot of zechusin. Yeah.
That's not the story.
Okay, so we'll see that when it says achaisi over here, it doesn't mean literally my sister. It means my niece. And it's because of Bnei Bonim Harihain Kabonim, as the Mefarshim explained. Let's see it inside. The Gemara says, "V'tizber achaisavei, ba'asachiv havei." She wasn't his sister. She was the daughter of his brother. V'keven dahachihu, and since that's the case, loishna of loishna min ha'em shaya. That would be permitted, whether it's from the father or from the mother. So what did it mean? What did he say? V'gam omna achoisi bas avihi. What he meant is, elahasam hachi kamalei. The fact of the matter is, and this is a fact that most people don't know, one of the more famous extra credit questions that our children came home is, who knows the mother of Avram? Right? Amasloi bas Karnavai. That's the mother of Avram. but Amaslai Bas Karnavai was Avram's mother. She wasn't Haran's mother. Avram and Haran were only half brothers. This is file this away for extra credit. And therefore the pasuk says, Hachi ka'amalei, kurva de achais isli bahada me'aba. I have a relationship of sisterhood towards her. Sisterhood being that a niece is considered like a sister because of bnei banim harayin kabanim. So I have like a relationship of a sister from the father's side, because Haran was my brother from Terach, v'loy me'ima, but Haran was not his maternal brother. Haran had a different mother. Tajma, mibnei ma loy nasi. This is an interesting thing. Avram Avinu had a daughter. Actually, he had more than one daughter, right? Because Cain and Hevel were twins. Some say Hevel, there were two twins, and there was two daughters, and they were fighting over that extra daughter. But be that it may, the question is, why didn't Adam marry his daughter, and then Chava would have died right away from eating from the Eitz Hadas? She ate from the Eitz Hadas. She gave to her husband. She gave to her children. That's what's brought down. So, because the daughter had to be available for Cain. Because otherwise Cain would have nobody to marry. Shenemar ki amarti olam chesed yibana. Now the term olam chesed yibana, besides of course it's mamish, I should have known that on the daf of olam chesed yibana Avigdor Fried would come. I should have known that. It was already decided when we started the Masechta that on the daf of olam chesed yibana Avigdor and his wife Mindy would show up. Since they take care of the Bikur Chaylim of Staten Island. It's together with the able help of Rabbi Yossi Oppenheimer. So anyway, says the Gemara, sleeping with a sister is prohibited. The Torah says, Ki chesedu. It's one of the meanings of chesed. It's forbidden because it's chesedu. So, the world will be built from the marriage of sisters. As a matter of fact, there is a lot of opinions that the Shiftei Ka also married their sisters, but not their twins. They married their sisters from the father, but not from the same mother. Remember, there were four mothers, right? Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. So they married the sisters of a different mother. There's a whole shaila in the Rishonim how Shimon was allowed to marry Dinah, because that's from the same father and from the same mother, right? Because Dinah came from Leah. So there's a whole shaila how Shimon, it says that Shaul ben Aknanis was the child of Shimon and Dinah, because Shimon married Dinah, who was violated by the Kanani, by Shem. So there's a lot of talk in the Rishonim to get around how Shimon was able to marry Dinah. One of the answers is that since Dinah was originally in Rachel, and just that Leah prayed that if Rachel would have Dinah, then she wouldn't even have as many as the Shvachos. So Dinah switched to Leah's womb, and Yosef switched to Rachel's womb. But since Dinah originated in Rachel's womb, it wasn't considered a forbidden relationship. That's the way many answer this question. Rabbi Ruvain talks about this a lot. So the Gemara says, Mashma, Holav Hochi, if not, it says the Gemara, says the Gemara, it's mashma that the only reason that Cain was able to marry her is because otherwise there would be nobody to marry. So halav hachi asira. So you see that you're not allowed to marry a sister from the same mother because it's the same mother, Chava, which is a raya to Rabbi Eliezer and a kash on Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva will say, yeah, but Kavan the Ishtari. Once it became permitted then, it became permitted forever. Continues the Gemara. Amar Afuna, Kusi mutter bebita. A pagan could marry his daughter. V'im toimer mipnei ma'aloi nasa adam esbita. Why didn't Adam marry his daughter? Kadei sheyisa kayin es achayshay, because that daughter had to be available for Cain.